Oh, thank you.
It's a surprise.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Thank you. Why is it June 25th, 3 p.m.? What day is that?
What's in June? What's in June? What day? Can you get your calendar?
Oh, it's, I guess I kind of do my attention. It is a Saturday.
It's a Saturday? Yeah,
Oh, you racist.
yeah.
I don't have to do that.
Larry didn't sell his car.
He didn't?
Guess he got come back driving.
Scotty?
Scotty.
Oh, Jesus.
I told him that wasn't gonna work.
Yeah.
I'm at 5:57.
You guys are on live now, just so you know.
Yeah, we are live. Yeah. I was going to be rustling, so I turned it
Oh,
on.
Jesus. Watch your tongue.
What?
Yeah, because we have a public hearing. we can't start early.
Test, test, test.
Seeing what that's seeing.
I am. I am, Jenny.
Ooh, that's scary. Turn the camera the other way.
Like right there.
Yeah.
Jenny, I could hear everything you just said. It's hysterical, actually.
Is it the mic on the Is it the mic from the camera as well?
No, it's our
It's just our
microphone.
mics because they're piped directly in, so they're.
We do need to change the live stream ordinance or whatever we did, because there's no way to shut off caller thing. So that's for another day.
That's for another day.
What?
Did you say that's for another day? Yeah.
For right now, we'll leave it.
Yeah.
We should think about.
Yeah, we need to figure out a way to. All right, we're almost there. Oh, there's pictures.
Who was that? His son or one of his daughters?
I'm not sure. I just heard baby. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Jenny.
All right, the clock is telling us it's 6 o'clock. Perfect. There's the bell.
Could be off as much as 2 seconds. So.
It might have been like 3 or 4 seconds. It's true, but I'm sure Mike just heard us and he's going to go calibrate it or something. It is 6 o'clock and I'm going to call our meeting to order. Our first order of business is actually a public hearing on the sewer rates. Is there a motion to enter into public hearing?
Make a motion to enter the public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
None opposed. Notice is hereby given that the Town of Winchester Board of Selectmen will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, May 11th at 6 p.m. for the purpose of discussing an increase to the sewer rates. Questions, of course, may be addressed to Town Hall and as part of this meeting. Are there any public comments?
I got one question.
Yes.
Rick, how far are we behind? Where should we be now that we're not?
Well, that's we had actually put that in the spreadsheet. So if you look at our budget this year, we're not going to bring in enough revenue through through our connection fees and with usage to cover our budget. The septic that we receive will pretty much bring us in over, I believe it's a little bit over $400,000. So anything projected over that for capital improvement or the two projects that we have, the solar buyback, which we have the hard numbers for that, and for the project, which we still do not have financing in place. So we still to this date, we don't know. And it sounds like, Mary, I think Carrie could speak to this. We might not know until fall. We might not make a decision until fall, because I don't understand this whole thing about the bond bank, because from my experience, and again, I don't know what's going on, but usually whether it's a USDA project, we would have the bond like we do now, then they take the loan over. We've got some confusing information that we have, that we have to pay the bond back at an interest rate till the end of the bond. I don't believe that's true, correct. And SRF would fund the whole thing for us. I believe that's the direction we're going to ask the board to go, but we're not ready yet. Things look pretty positive there. We dug in a little bit more, just to let you know, the STAG Grant Plus will be available through this. ARPA funds won't affect that. I know when we had ARA funds, they disqualified STAG Grant Plus. That's basically septic oriented projects. Obviously, we have a heavy loaded project for septic, dewatering septic. That's what we're asking for. So it looks like we could possibly get another 10% on top of the 10% we have. And if we get an agreement with other towns to take their septic, we get 2% there. So, and again, that's if money's available at the end of substantial completion, if our applications are in and accepted. So that's what Carrie and myself and Kater and Howard are working on. And Carrie's trying to get some answers about the bond right now. And it sounds like between the conversation that Carrie and Kater and Howard had yesterday, I think we're going to wait till fall. We would just need the financing to do the study for the pilot for the dryer. And I believe we have, I know we have one pilot. It's just going to be almost set up. We sent out a sludge sample to them today. And I believe the second one is going to be, Dexter's working on that now. They're both gas-fired dryers. I have not heard anything about, I haven't had time to ask Dexter if he's had said anything about the electric driven dryers, because there are two out there that we possibly could look at and get approval for. So,
Rick, I was wondering from the last work session we had, if you had the numbers from the biosolids.
I have some numbers for you, Natalie. I was not able to finalize them and get them into a spreadsheet. Again, I have done nothing about the solar project to look into. There is a helioscope out there with estimated savings on that.
Yep.
I just haven't contacted the proper source to get that information. But I just been putting last year's numbers together. If anybody wanted to write these down, this is strictly for dewatering purposes. One vendor, we bought $13,496.50 for polymer. Another vendor, we spent $3,999.81. We paid to the town of Merrimack to dispose our sludge, $13,660.41. We paid Goulet Trucking, $9,003.75. And then I can tell you that we spent on the sewer plant. This is where the stuff I wanted to work on, where it gets a little complicated. The electrical bill at the sewer plant was $38,274.09. Now we know if you were to go into our energy audit, 11% of the energy at the plant goes to dewatering. So I believe I came out with $8,268 that actually would go to dewatering. So I came out with a figure that we spent $48,788.27 for sludge dewatering last year, and that's delivering it to Merrimack. We produced 174 tons, so it looks like it cost us $280 a ton to do that.
280 a ton.
$280 a ton. So I didn't have time I got all the gallons, but I weren't able to put it into the spreadsheet. So So basically, right now, if we took on Hinsdale, they average about 200,000 gallons of secondary activated sludge a year, not septic. I apologize for that statement. And using the figure that I came up with, it looks like it takes 6,897 gallons to produce 1 ton of 20% cake solids. So we could possibly take in what it's costing us to dewater it. If you just use the raw numbers, if we charge Hinsdale, they're paying anywhere from 18 to 19 cents a gallon to dewater right now, would be $36,000 that revenue added for dewatering their secondary activated sludge based on the historical records, minus what I would say the $8,120 using our figure per ton to treat that waste. So we could possibly bring in another $27,880 from Hinsdale's dewatering their sludge.
You said 20, I'm sorry.
$27,880. And again, these are just rough numbers.
Right.
I would have to work them over a little bit, but I think you'll find out they're probably going to end up being quite close or
Do
accurate.
you see any increase in that happening with, inflation in the current market?
Well, again, now that's why I was trying to put these polymer records together, because this year we went, for to give you an idea, a drum of polymer, we were paying like $1,000 beginning of the year. Now we're up to $1,200 a drum. So
Okay.
that has about a half a year that worked into this figure right now.
Do you think that has to do something with the pandemic we were in?
Pandemic, it's petroleum-based product, polymer is. So it's,
So there's an increase
and now
for
we're
everybody else. There was an increase in sewage,
absolutely
and there was also an increase in prices
right.
based on the current market. Okay.
Versus on a product, now we've seen some trucking increases too, which some of them say they might be temporary. I don't have that data yet.
Okay.
But
Now, $28,000, Rick, what kind of man hours? Is that going to add any,
well, we talked about it. Yeah, that's going to add some man hours. I mean, we're going to be operating dual screw presses with this project in a dryer. All that stuff's going to take some kind of monitoring. Now, again, what I'm looking for is better than we had today. So we're going to be able to do some monitoring with our smartphones with this process. Again, we got to get over that hurdle. We haven't, I asked for some of that during the ARPA funds to get that kind of information back to the sewer plant. But I think some of that stuff we can get over, but it's definitely going to be, if we're going to dewater, we're talking about doing batch dewatering. So what we do is we would fill our sludge tank up, because make the drying is more efficient. Once you start it, you don't want to stop it. So we'd be doing like 3-day week runs on this. But I'm hoping with today's technology and the telemetry, we can, if we take our part-time guy, we made that guy a full-time guy. Hopefully that'll fill the voids. And, if we did need another part-time guy, we'd address it at that time. I'm thinking, for, other activities out on the street.
And Rick, just so the public knows, from taking a part-time employee to a full-time employee, would that be covered in your current budget, or?
That's not in my current budget. I did try to work that out with the finance department this week, and we looked at some numbers if we could shift things around, and those numbers not here today, because I was told by the finance department that basically from what I saw for the figures, it's just not possible to work it out say if we merged it with a highway and ourselves, or the budgets are just too lean this year. We can't do anything with that. And if the board wanted to look at that, you could talk to the finance department and get what ideas he was trying to work with. Basically, the highway department has nothing to work with. They are in the red, so that's not even an option. So we're talking about looking at that, presenting that to the board this September during the budget season.
Would it be, it would definitely be, would it be helpful, in your opinion, to have a part-time to full-time employee?
Absolutely. It would, right now, it would be very helpful. I think everyone knows we're down to 2 people. This is the second week for the water and sewer, just Justin and myself, and we're looking at another week with just both of us. I was able to bring in a building inspector to help us today, and we got a private contractor doing some of our jobs. But again, that's, trying to do, spreadsheets and
Right. No,
I
I
just
totally
don't,
get it.
and we've been running the plant, like yesterday, we got all our septage, we got 3 loads of septage. If that happened today, that would have been a problem because we were away from the plant. So that would get someone else, that just give you the scenario, what happens. Today, we're doing outside activities. There's nobody manning the plant. We're dewatering sludge on its own. The plant's running itself. If someone shows up there with septic or something, or, it just makes it difficult. Some like laboratory work, a lot of that I can plan, around my activities. So I try to do that, but even that takes time to make that happen. So, yeah, so I mean, at this time, and then I think you all know, come winter time, the highway likes to have our guy go over and help them do, snow plowing activities. So that even stresses the whole thing out, because if we lose a guy or someone's out, then we're down here again, we're shorthanded again. So we just don't have the numbers to shift around for our, our staff right now, for whatever it may be, for if someone's out sick or vacation or
Have you
whatever.
got anybody interested in the job yet?
I have
So
no.
I'm just going to ask us to pause on that particular question. Maybe we could follow up about that topic
Yeah.
during our regular meeting. I just want to try to get us through the
Yeah,
public hearing.
Absolutely, because I had a little bit more to add to this, because the numbers I've given everybody, we produced 174 tons of 20% cake solid. And I've talked to RMI so far. I have not talked to Casella Organics, but RMI tells me that obviously we're going to reduce our footprint, by 2/3. So that number you got right there, because we're going out the door at 20% cake. We're talking going down to 90%. We're going to really shrink our tonnage. So, I mean, we're talking about a Class A biosolids. So I reached out to RMI. They're telling us right now that until the product's proven with a farmer, which I know there's an opportunity in this town, because Casella Organic was managing it before, and I believe there's no managing of it now, but I just have not had the time to try to get the information on what they're looking for in the future on their cornfields on Warwick Road. But I know they were using Class A and Class B biosolids before. So obviously if we can manage that, but that's going to take some time and obviously some effort. And, that's an area that we certainly want to make sure it's protected and it's managed properly. So, but RMI said they could find us a location for that sludge, but again, they're going to charge us $600 to truck. And they said we probably could get $10 a ton for our Class A biosolids.
$10 a ton?
Yes, they're saying, right? I mean, $10 a ton, I apologize. And again, if your biosolids was proven to be, nutrient efficient for the farmers and for their crops, you could get up to 30 cents. I mean, $30 a ton, I'm sorry. And again, there's another avenue we could talk to Casella Organics. They're doing the same type of thing as RMI is.
So based off of your findings versus what we talked about in the last session, how does that impact the increase in the sewer rates?
Can you I couldn't hear that.
It's okay.
Can you say that?
It's okay. So based off of your findings that you have now, versus our last work session, how does that impact the increase in sewer rates? Are we able to lower it, or?
No, we can't. We wouldn't be able to lower them. We still have to increase them. And again, that's what I said. I'm not.
Is there any way to increase them at a smaller incline?
Well, I was hoping. I hope I'm not speaking out of line. I know I was speaking to James a little bit, where I was hoping maybe we could look at the 20% increase, and then if we came back with the information, once we know what's in place for what we're going to have to pay back for funding on this, what our rate's going to be, what we're going to have for forgiveness, and I can give you a little bit more, because we have nothing on the electrical end of it either, on what we're going to save for energy, because that's another component. There's going to be some electrical savings once we buy out the solar field, and we're actually the producer of the electricity.
Right.
So there's a little bit there, but right now, for what I've given you for the spreadsheet, this one little bit of revenue which is a positive, but you know,
It's small compared to what you need.
Yeah,
yeah, and we're not gonna get much out of the biosolids because we're not producing that much. That's about $2,000 a year because we're gonna reduce our footprint so much.
And
Now,
what
again,
was your buyout number for the solar?
it is, I believe, 670,000. I do not have that spreadsheet in front of me.
660, I believe it is.
It was a 660.
I believe.
We do have the price.
Yeah.
But, oh, no, that's what the cost of it is, 400 and some odd thousand. I apologize.
buy it
for
out.
5 years, yes.
Maybe, I think off the top of my head, I think it was 420,000, but don't quote me on that.
Yeah, I think you're pretty close, but we do
And you're
have,
gonna, right,
yeah,
so after,
Five-
you're gonna buy it out
five-
after 5 years, so it's
Yeah.
gonna live for another 15 years at a reduced rate. How much does the solar, cover of your utility bill?
it's supposed to cover it all.
100%. So,
100%,
and what is
yeah.
your current?
Other than what public service is gonna charge us for demand.
Right, well, yeah, of course, they're
Yeah,
always
there's,
gonna.
that's what I'm saying, yeah.
So what is your current utility bill a month?
Right now, at the sewer plant, we paid last year 38,274.09. 38,000.
A year,
Pardon, for the whole year,
okay.
yeah.
So
I have that.
give me a second, talk amongst yourselves.
Do you need a calculator?
I have one.
I was just gonna say, do you need, I already have it calculated,
I'll put it in my phone.
but like monthly, like,
That's a good dinner.
was that blueberry cake?
Chocolate frosted. You brought one.
Oh, I saw it from the side. Can tell where I was like,
Yeah.
ooh, cake. Miss donuts. I was just doing some rough math, and so I just wanted to run through real quick to make sure that this was correct. So basically, what you're saying, Rick, is any revenue that might be generated would be our savings from our dewatering,
Yeah.
the revenue that we would get from Hinsdale,
Right,
and then whatever we could sell off of our,
yeah, the selling off, I don't think is gonna be that much, but again, that's up to the board and how much sludge we actually take in,
right?
Lindsay. But again, 27,880 from Hinsdale. And again, there's a components, trucking. What are we gonna do about trucking?
Absolutely. I was just, just on in a
Yeah.
rough figure,
Right.
maybe it's about $100,000, not taking into consideration the expenses or the additional revenue that might be generated if, another town came and said, hey, while you're doing this, how about ours? I just wanted to make sure I was adding those right things together, Rick. Thank you.
So, from the solar over 25 years, because you're 5 years out on that lease, that PPA that you have, we're gonna generate, based on the savings that you're gonna have from the electricity. You're at about, between $800,000 and $900,000 over 25 years. Not counting maintenance and upkeep, your warranty is still for 25 years, so you still have it there. So is there a way for you, I'm sorry you don't have a spreadsheet or anything in front of you, to counteract that savings that we're gonna have versus the increase to the sewer rates?
You said 800,000 over 25 years is the same.
Well, it's 40 years, it's like, what is it, 1.2? It's all,
It's
yeah.
gonna be more than that, I'm being
Yeah, it's all
conservative.
worked, yeah, it's all worked out in the
I
contract.
am being
Yeah.
conservative in my
Yeah.
costing right now.
Yeah.
So over 20 years, just under $100,000, how does
Yeah.
that play into us possibly decreasing those sewer rates?
I'm gonna make a motion to,
Oh, we're still in the
Yeah.
public hearing.
Yeah.
so we
I just
have to
don't,
wait.
again, if anyone looks at the dashboard, our sewer rates are still not, I would say, approaching the top half of the state. We're still in, again, I know I don't have all the information in front of me, but I know what we're definitely charging under what the rate is per gallon to treat.
Mhm.
I don't see the rate. I think it's unrealistic. And presumptuous for me to even say that we could even continue our operation decreasing our rates.
we haven't had an increase.
Again, I just want to be honest with you, that's my personal opinion. I've been doing this for almost 20 years. I just don't, right now, again, I wouldn't ask for a rate increase. The only reason we're looking for a rate increase is based, the first reason I asked for the rate increase is because our budget, what our sewer users are paying is not covering our operating budget. So that was my first, I know I talked about this way back last year, and I never even put into the dates. And again, I'm sure the finance director would help me out with that, because she's the one who's been alerting to me, Rick, you watching what's going on here, the capital reserve, and again, it's going down. Again, I guess the best way I'd like to approach this and answer your question is, I'm hoping that somehow we could, without increasing the rates too much, we could project some capital reserve at the same time, maybe have enough buyout cash to buy this solar field out instead of getting into a 6%, or that's what we're looking at now.
Right.
We don't know what's going to happen. So that's basically what I'm basing it on. And then I gave you a hard number of $200,000 a year for our project. I'm hoping that's a high number. So those are the numbers I'm looking at. I don't see right now, if we're going to bring in 27,000, say 28,000 from Hinsdale, if we're going to save $13,000, from Merrimack, and hopefully $9,000 in trucking, I don't see what that's going to bring. And I'd have to put this, like I said, in the spreadsheet. I don't see what that's going to change my opinion or my asking the board to raise the rates.
Well, and your rates, basically, according to that one spreadsheet, we need to almost double them in the next 5
Right,
years.
I'm not asking the board to do that, right?
Yeah, but I'm saying like
Right.
20% a year for the next 5 years is kind of where we need to be at.
Right, and we need some more, I know usually you ask for a rate study and pay money for the rate study. I think we're more capable of figuring that out ourselves. But I would hope that we could do, I think at a minimum 20%. And because we haven't done anything since 2014, and we want $5 on the connection fee. And then it was before that, I believe it was 2009, and we went up from $4 to $4.75 per every 100 cubic feet.
Rick, did you look into it any further to see what we could increase our rates for people dumping, or what that number was?
Again, I
It's the same as
did check
everybody
on that. I can tell you what's going to happen right now. Keene has not moved their septage rates for quite a while. I know from the hauler that uses us quite a bit, Keene wants more septage. So that's going to be, if we were to bring our rates up, and our haulers is going to go to Keene, it's going to be easier for them. So
Even
again,
by I'm just looking for anything at this point, even by like 50 cents, because I mean, that 50 cents, you're now traveling, all the way up to Keene with the price of gas. That might help us a little bit.
again, the board, it's up to you, but I would strongly, disagree with that, or would ask not to do that at this point in time, just because all these other towns who's doing septage they're just not going up with the rates. And I know Keane's not going to right now.
Rick, and
so.
for the public to know, what other towns around us accept sewage?
Well, Keane's the main one. I know like Peterborough, Jaffrey does quite a bit. Peterborough does a little bit. I know below us in Massachusetts, I know Irving wants all kinds of septic. They basically, a lot of our technology came from me visiting Irving, and they would take all kinds of septic. But again, like I said, a lot of it's the travel right now and the fuel. So I said, it's a little touchy right now to increase that rate just because they're absorbing the truckers are absorbing that fuel price right now. So that's my feeling. I'm not correct on everything, but that's one thing I would like to leave alone. Now, again, the in-town users, you could think about that. They're only paying 75. They've got to come to this town to pump those tanks. That would go to 85. That would in the holding tank, bring it up to what we do outside the town. That was kind of a courtesy thing we did for all the taxpayers in town. Again, my personal opinion, the taxpayers have some obligation into all the sewer plant upgrades, because the state's looking for every municipality having a septic agreement where their septic tanks are going to go. We're willing to take septic. That's what that Stag Grant Plus is all about. If we can get that extra funding for, then it could be 10%, it could be 12 or 14%, because we do take septic. And it's a town-wide thing. There's a lot of septic tanks in this town that we process. And the town of Winchester has to have an agreement with some town for their tanks to go to. That's just something to think about. That's part of my thought here too. Do we have to, does the sewer users have to take all this burden? And that's a question you guys have to, I know with the IRA funds, we did some on taxation. That hasn't matured yet, that bond, but that's, again, it's my opinion that from what we do and what we take on septic, that's a hard waste to deal with. We put in a septic receiving machine. We spend a lot of time. That's why I would want another guy at the plant to dewater, because if we're taking more septic in, we have more, bind ups and pump failures and screen clogs and overflows and of those natures, because you never know when that load comes in, it's right full of, biodegradable rags that are not biodegradable. They just won't pass through anything.
Rick,
So-
I have one more question for you and then a comment for the board, because I did look into sewer rates that were not paid by the town. If you were to expand our sewer lines, how much, say by, I don't know, 100 residents, how much extra income would that provide the town?
I don't have that. I could get that number. I don't have that number right now for you, but we could look into that. Again,
So my thought process in that was extra income for the town from ARPA funds to, expand the sewer lines, obviously, so we could offset some of this increase in
right. And again,
sewage.
some of that stuff is, we've talked about different areas. I can tell you the end of Keene Road, Manning Hill, end of Warwick Road. Even though end of Warwick Road was just extended a little bit, we're going to gain 6 more customers.
The
That's why.
return on your initial investment is.
Well, that's what the problem is the cost of, I have no cost of, because basically a lot of our, we met our, any type of, using gravity to get the sewer to the plant. So now we're talking pump stations or force mains. So it's a little bit more complex. Not that
Right,
it's not
it's about the
possible.
long
Right.
game, in my opinion, not the immediate.
Right, absolutely. Nothing's impossible. That is an opportunity. We're servicing, we're a little under 800 connections, and the water's almost 1,200 connections. So that gives you, a little bit of an idea.
Right.
There is room for expansion there, but at what cost and where do we expand? It would take some, insight. Like I
We
said,
would need studies done, correct?
right.
But correct me if I'm wrong too, Rick. Now, the system as it is right now is kind of in the center of the town here.
It is.
In order to, to pick up 10 houses, you may have to travel, a half a mile.
Well, that's why we'd
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
do some kind of feasibility study to see,
Yeah.
where would we, again, there was always talk about Forest Lake and the end of Keene Road and bringing, some of our, protecting some of our natural resources. It's never happened, it would cost, an exorbitant amount of money. It'd be a
And
large
is there
project,
currently sewer ran to the development park?
which
Wedge
there
Road.
is, yes.
There is.
Stone Mountain is all ready to go.
But it's
ready
not
to go.
hooked up, so you're not collecting revenue
We're
from
not
it.
collecting anything.
And how much revenue would that provide?
Well, it depends on, that's
they're
another
doing what?
conversation I'd like to have with the board, who the potential customer is. Is there going to be impact fees? Do they have to have, pre-treatment standards and a permit? And, we're going to have to look at any applicant we have and discuss that,
Perfect.
I would
Thank you.
discuss it with the board, because there's a lot of variables involved in that, but there could be significant amount of revenue.
Exactly. Yep. Nope.
Yeah,
Perfect. Thank you, Rick.
absolutely.
Thank you, Rick.
You're welcome.
Were there any more questions?
I just had one comment. Oh, we're in public.
I'm going to ask the public if there were any comments one more time before we close the.
I wasn't here for the beginning, so it may have already been said, and I know Rick already knows this, but something else that the board needs to remember is that sometimes you can't just say, okay, we're gonna hook on 100 more houses onto the sewer system, because if the main isn't big enough, well, it's not gonna take all that extra water, so now you gotta redo the whole line instead of just saying, hey, let's hook up these houses. So there's that on top of everything else. It's a very complicated system to look at. It's not as easy as let's hook them up and charge them kind of thing.
Thank you. Were there any other comments?
to run the,
I'm sorry, can you state your name?
Jordan Hubbard, let's say you were to run the sewer line by my house, I already have town water. Even though, like, say I have my own septic system, do I have to connect to town water, or do I have the option?
I know,
So
it used to
even-
be.
We have an ordinance in place, if you left the sewer main and you're within 100 feet, you have to connect to it. That is the town, they had to put that in, that ordinance was put in, because obviously when they.
Can you come up to the mic, Rick? I'm sorry, so people could hear you.
I think we all know when the Clean Water Act came around and a lot of communities did not want to put sewer systems in. And then once the sewer system went in, there was a lot of people with well-working septic systems that did not want to connect in. And unfortunately, they had to connect in to support the sewer system. Because you can't just have a half a dozen people, connecting on to, a $20 million sewer plant or whatever the cost of it is. So basically, that's how that all arose. People, and again, if you look into the records in most towns, and this town's probably pretty much the same, there was a lot of court actions and decisions made. And I believe the majority of the people within our sewer collection system are connected onto town sewer and have been for decades.
Thank you, Rick. Seeing no additional comments, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
Make that motion.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. And opposed?
I'm gonna make, go ahead.
I just have one comment, and that is, Todd brings up a very good point, and part of expanding infrastructure is planning for the expansion of infrastructure. Last year, the planning board put forward an article to change some of our density requirements in order to encourage some smaller community pop-up kind of opportunities. And one thing they worked on was within our infrastructure, within sewer, water, police, and EMS, and whether or not they'd be able to support very small expansions. And all were in agreement that very small expansions were something that Winchester could work in, limiting, I think we had said it would be no more than like 20 maximum units. And that is something that we need to continue to think about. It was voted down, but to the point of generating revenue for our town, we have to think about that in a multi-step and lots of board involvement. That came out of the planning board. It's impacting us right now. So that's just something for us to think about, because to James' point, we have not raised these rates in the better part of 13 years. And that's a disservice that was done, because they should have been going up regularly. And that is something we need to continue to think about. Any
So
other
I'm gonna-
comments? I think there was one more comment. Yeah.
I did do some research into residents that have not been able to meet their sewer obligations. It came in just under $19,000, and that does go back into taxation. So knowing that people in our town are struggling paying their sewer rates, and having this 20% increase is just going to further impact our tax obligation. I think that slowly increasing it, well, Lindsay, I 100% agree with you that it was a disservice, that the work wasn't done and it needs to be done. I think that for me personally, a smaller increase and then having work done on the back line. I mean, Rick is here, he's done a lot of work, but there are other questions, just like I answered earlier, that have not been actually answered. What is our actual money obligation for the solar system? What is that revenue coming in? What is the sewage going to, the biosolids going to bring in? Is there any additional revenue that we could do? Is there any opportunity for expansion? So these are questions that we need to answer and do the work for before we put this burden on people who are already struggling. So that is my last comment. Thank you.
I'm gonna make a motion to increase the rates by 20%, because, I mean, again, it's been since 2009, 13 years for some of this, and again, that spreadsheet shows that over the next 5 years, he basically needs to double his revenue, and that's 20% a year, which I know is a large increase, but We can't, I don't think, and again, I understand people are struggling to pay their bills now, but we can't base the increases that are needed on people that are struggling. I mean, unfortunately, it stinks, no matter how you look at it, but that's my motion.
I'll second Jim's motion on that. And the reason being is if we take 20% now and get him going, maybe by the time it comes around, we'll have all Natalie's answers and we can go and adjust it at the next rate increase and go from there. But right now, I think we're really low. That's just my opinion.
Even 20% increase isn't gonna put us up near
No.
where some of these other local towns are. It's not. And again, I understand, if we can operate our plant more efficiently than all the towns around us, that's great. But obviously, we can't right now with the rates we have.
Well, I had a quick question to Rick, actually. for you.
We're one of the most efficient plants. I've given everybody the energy audit. We're one of the most efficient wastewater plants out there. So we've done a complete energy audit to find all these avenues, trying to answer some of Natalie's questions where we can save money. We instituted all those. I was even told solar was not an answer. We couldn't get no gravity on it. So we looked outside of the state, because they would not support anything such as that at that time. So just to let you know that the town of Winchester, and so the residents know, you have one of the most energy efficient plants out there, and you can view that on the town's website. I just want to let people know that.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
Is it I know there's a motion, there's a second, there's some discussion. I'm just thinking out loud here. Is it a complete pain in the ass to adjust the rate in kind of a stair step throughout this next year? The next billing cycle is 10%. The billing cycle after that is 20%. The board could revisit after we get that 20%, see if any answers have been gotten, as a way to get to that next number while kind of giving people an opportunity to be like, okay, this is an extra $30 a month, and
To get
this
their
is,
finances in order.
and then
to-
now I need to adjust for an extra, another $20. So
Yeah,
this
I
is an
don't
extra
know,
50
yeah, I don't know if I
bucks.
can answer how I know that there's some work with Avatar and our billing system and how that all works, and getting that data, downloaded so everyone's billed correctly. I don't know what the burden of that is, but I'm sure it can be done. I'm not saying it couldn't be done. I mean, if that's what the board chooses,
Well, I have,
anything's possible. There's not,
Anything's
it's not that we couldn't do it. Obviously there'd be increased work, instead of just doing it now and we look at it, again, we might have the information there, more solid information on what we have to, what our actual costs are going to be, and for the improvements in the solar, or again, I'm not hearing anything about the solar buyout. Like I said, my opinion is, that's why I kind of was hoping we could start somewhere. I understand Natalie's opinion, but my opinion is there's a certain percentage that we're going to have to deal with anyways. I kind of agree with James on that. I've been at this quite a while. There's a certain percentage of people just can't pay their bills, and regardless of that, we've got to move forward to pay our bills. That's what I'm looking for as
No, Rick,
responsible
and I
operator.
100%
Yeah,
agree with you.
and I agree with you.
I appreciate so much
Right.
being in the renewable energy field that our sewer plant is
Yep.
very, very energy efficient.
Great.
I agree with that 100%. I just think, based off the lack of information that we have, being the solar buyout, and there is money in the infrastructure funds
There is.
to buy that out for us. So that's also a reduction in that rate increase. And then also for the biosolids, that can also be incorporated into the infrastructure fund, which would also be a decrease. So in my opinion, I think there needs to be more work done before we put this burden on the taxpayer. And while, yes, I agree that it does need to go up because we have the lowest fee, I just think it needs to be tiered. And we need to explain to the taxpayer, this is why it's happening. We're gonna go up 5% this year. The following year, we're gonna go up an additional 5%. I understand the need for the paying of the sewer, but it's not fair to the taxpayer.
Well,
I
the
don't-
taxpayer's not paying for this, but that's what I was reaching out. I haven't heard nothing about that. Again, I'm just, to pay our bills, I believe the 20% is what we, at a minimum, is what we need. What the board agrees with is what we're gonna have to move forward with. We're not covering the budget with what we're pulling in for revenue right now. If that septic receiving goes down, that revenue goes away. Again, we're functioning with not enough manpower right now. We know the costs are increasing. I can't even tell you what's gonna happen next year with chemical costs, trucking fees, all these, things that we have to deal with. So, and again, my personal opinion, what's out there for extra towards to lower the rates. Again, I hope for the best, but I would expect a minimum. I think the numbers I've given you are pretty solid, what we can expect to pay back. And again, however you approach paying a solar back, that's up to the board. I was hoping that we could do, like I said, again, I'll just voice my opinion. I was hoping we could do something that on a back end will save our users all that interest if we have some capital, reserve to buy that down or finance it better for ourselves. That's basically what I'm asking the board, and that's what I would tell the public. That's what we're trying to do. Yes, is there energy savings projected for the next 40 years? Absolutely, and that's why I want to buy that out at the end of 5 years, so we can start having that savings for our sewer users. That's my goal. That's the way I would approach it if it was my household. I'd be looking to cut any interest that we could off that. And unfortunately, right now, in reality, I think 20% is barely going to cover what I need for budget, and if we were to move forward with another person. So, again, I think the numbers that I'll bring will illustrate, once we get the financing done, that'll illustrate that's what we're going to need to, these rates need to go up more than 20%. But again, if whatever the board decides, I agree with. I'm just telling you, for us to pay our bills, I've seen the sewer plant in the red before when we were paying back the general fund $80,000 a year, and that was not a pleasant situation to be into. And that wasn't that long ago either. So I've seen this, again, I'm
Basically,
not an accountant and I don't, or an economist, I don't
Yeah.
everything, but.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. For continuing for discussion, I want us to be able to move this forward. I'm very concerned about a 20% increase all at once. And James, I would like you to consider 10% for the next bill and 20% for the bill after that, in order to ease slowly into this transition. And hopefully within that period, we have an opportunity to do more investigation and discovery about our other options. And we can always revisit if we're all in agreement with this current process.
The thing is, whether we go up 10% or 20%, the people that aren't paying now are not going to pay.
Well,
in
and
the
I
future.
realize that, but
You're not going to help them any.
But the people who are paying or late sometimes or struggling or need time to make an accommodation to their budget, like a family of 5, such as myself, on town sewer and water, who's seen some increases in their household bills, it would be helpful to know that this time it's 10% and next time I have to plan for that next jump.
No, I agree with that. I agree with
So
that.
I'm
We
just
need to go, put it forward.
Just
to them.
asking for that
Like
opportunity
Natalie says,
to,
Well, my other point is here, we always talk
Rick,
about how
I'm sorry, Rick, can you please
I'm
just
sorry,
lower your voice a
it's-
little bit?
it's a little loud.
we always talk about the department heads we have, how we trust their judgment. Rick is here asking, he thinks a 20% increase is needed, so I think that's where we should stay, and that's my motion. I mean, if we're gonna go 10% now and then look at stuff and 20%, then we're gonna have a bunch of, go through
No,
all this again, I mean.
I'm saying for your motion,
I don't want to
to
put them in
just
the
be,
red.
to be 10% just for this next bill and automatically go to the 20% after that. I don't want to discuss the 20% again. I agree. I am just struggling
You're
with
just saying
hitting
for
it.
this billing cycle, you want to go 10
Yes.
and then go 20?
And then
after
be
that?
at the 20%, and then hopefully we'll have even more information available.
Yeah, but if we have more information though, then we're gonna be right back here where we are. We know we need this, his numbers show that we need to double his revenue in the next
then-
5 years.
Correct, so so in the second billing cycle, we'll be at 20%,
That'd be
where we
6
would be
months.
right now, 6 months, where we would be maybe right now. And then after 6 months, we're going to have to address it again anyways, right? We're going to have to address another increase within our next budget. So by March of next year, we're going to be having this conversation again, because once we've increased the 20%, we know we still have an increase to go. We're going to be increasing this water bill at least every year for the next, or the sewer bill, excuse me, for at least the next 4 to 5 years.
So just to stop you, I thank you, Lindsay, for that friendly amendment. I have one question. Rick, how much would you be in the red if for this current next bill cycle, we increased it by 5%? Okay, but wait, let me finish my question, okay? 5%. The next one was 10%. Following one was 15%.
Right. I did break it down like that. We got 10, 20% increments, unfortunately. So I apologize on that, but I've given the board what basically today, we're not paying no debt back, not projecting any debt, not doing any capital improvement. Right now, because we do have debt, we are paying off. Currently, our budget should be 402,865.08. That's what should we to cover the budget right now. We actually brought, our budget was, we brought in 375,554, and we brought in 27,003, no, that's the debt, I'm sorry. It was, let me state this again, I apologize.
It's just,
Because our current debt right now is what, and it's not the debt, it's what we brought in for fees. I'm reading this all wrong. I apologize. 375,544 is actually, 544 is the revenue. And then we also, then 27,312 is what we have to pay for our existing stag grant right now. So so basically our budget was 402.
So your
Now-
budget is 402, your debt is 27,312, your revenue is 375,554.
Yeah, and that was
Correct?
actually, that was last year. I apologize.
Okay,
This year, the budget is 407,734. I'm reading the wrong column. I apologize. I'm completely messing this up. And our debt is going to be 27,312
that's what you just said
and 8 cents. Yeah.
for 2022.
Yep.
That's what you said for 2021.
20, that's this year. That's a budget. The budget year
Okay,
is
so 27,312 for 2022.
407, right.
Okay,
So can anyone add that up for me? I know it's here somewhere, but
so the 407, 734, so you're at
407, 734.
Yep, 6, 3, 4, 7, 9, 7, 14, 2, 3. So 431,946.
Okay, so this is just at a 10% increase, increasing the rates from 55 connection fee to 60, and the usage fee from 475 every 100 cubic feet to 523. We'd only bring in 415,779.05. So we wouldn't even bring in enough to cover the budget.
Okay, so that's
In the
just,
debt.
is that one full year?
That's one full year. That was
Okay.
based on, yes.
right.
Okay,
That's what we got. That's what we're going to pay this year. That's what the budget is this.
so you're
obviously.
just under 415, 779.05. You're just under, you're about $15,000 as a roundabout number off
Right. Now,
from, okay,
can I read the 20%?
yes,
If we go to the 20%, the user fee, the connection fee would go from $55 to $66. So that's an $11 increase. And the usage fee would go from $475 to $570, a little under a dollar. And we would bring in 453,346.50. And that's all based on last year's usage,
And that's
obviously.
just breaking even now.
That's breaking even at 20%. So
Okay.
that, now you can see what my stance is right
So,
here.
okay, with that being said, it's about around $30,000. So with the $19,000 that we're already not collecting, okay?
Yeah.
You're gonna put a 20% increase on that. That's gonna bring into taxation now an additional $40,000, which is gonna put you still in the red, but it's also gonna put the town in the red as well.
That's
is
all
gonna go back into
that's
tax-
speculation. at
Right.
that
Now, again,
mean, all-
I haven't analyzed this. I don't know what happened. Sometimes when it does get lean, people pay it. I don't know what I know now.
That's all on lien was the 19,000.
Yeah, again, after 3 years, sometimes it all gets paid off. You know, if deeding's gonna approach,
We're
again,
owed over $1 million.
this is stuff you can analyze forever. And I don't know, you know, it's always gonna change, so I don't know how that, you know.
So I guess, I'm sorry that I'm taking so
No,
long
you're
on this,
not.
but I'm really trying to find a solution here. So $15,000 at a 10% increase, you're gonna be under in the red, $15,000 roundabout,
That's what,
okay?
that's
With a
what,
10% increase.
based on last year's usage, yeah.
Right,
and-
with a 10%
and how many
increase,
connections
which
we have.
last year's usage was also very high because of the pandemic.
I do not believe that our usage was high. Our usage has been trending lower since, because here again, we talk about, we didn't raise the sewer rates because we have such a small pool. We were planning the water improvements the last few years, and we increased the water rates because they hadn't been done for forever. So we increased the water rates. So again, this is decades of abuse.
Right, no, I
mean-
agree.
I
and
mean, this gets deeper. This is such a deep pool. We've done all these studies, and I don't know how to, you know, I'm trying to help the sewer and water users, but we can't make these improvements. I don't know how to, you know, we're energy efficient, but
Rick, I'm agreeing with you.
no, I'm just, I don't know. I'm just telling you, I don't have the answer.
120,000%. I am just trying to figure out what's gonna serve the people who can't pay, who are already struggling because of the high taxation and everything else. So, go ahead, James, go for it.
Yeah, so, okay,
Go for it.
I'm gonna take your friendly amendment to do a 10% increase on the next cycle, a 20% on the cycle after that, so we can get something done here.
I'll
That's my,
second
that's
that.
my
And
amendment.
you'll second that?
Yep.
Is there additional discussion?
I still don't agree with that. I think that it should be a 5% increase and then a 10 the following one, and then we go from there. I mean,
It's not
he's
gonna get
still
him out of the
already, he's still only $15,000 in the hole with a 10% increase over both billing periods. I think to lessen the burden on the people needs to be 5, then 10. His model didn't go past 5 years. It needs to go past, we need a 25-year model, especially with this solar.
He
I do
can't
not
project out
Yeah, right,
25
you can't-
years.
you don't know
I
what
mean,
June's
He
gonna
can
be.
forecast it. Yes, he can.
Again, that's why I worked this out.
Can we call a vote?
Yeah.
'Cause we,
I've shown this, we want to forecast out that many years, or we're just prolonging paying off the solar. We know what the solar's going to do for us. So I'm not asking you, I showed you what we have to do the whole thing. That's what the spreadsheet is about. I'm not asking the board to go away.
I agree with
So I
you.
think I've done my due diligence.
No, Rick, you 100% have done.
We're just kicking the can down the road. We're
That's all.
looking for answers that are not there. And they're probably not going to be there the next few years. Again, we don't have to put a set away for the solar. We can wait till it's time to buy it out. Or we don't buy it out, we don't get no profit from it. We don't benefit from it. I can tell you that's a fact. I don't think that will disagree with that. We don't buy that out after 5 years. We let the investment keep some of that energy, and we don't take advantage of that. So that's what I'm basing it on. I do have that, I disagree with Natalie's opinion about, we don't have enough information. We've got that forecasted out. Again, do we have the forecast out in everybody's manner, the way they want it? Probably not. But I think the data I gave was accurate enough. I've been at this long enough, and I can tell you, I'm trying to do the best I can with the Winchester water sewer users, the best I can. This infrastructure
is in disarray. And I don't know what else to do with the town. I'm on the phone all the time, I run back to the office, I'm calling everybody I possibly can to try to get some revenue to help this town out. Anybody in the board, call the state, call. I just don't know what else to do. We won't make it with this town is so low, but there's 101 reasons why we don't get no power, or we get very little power. I can tell you that right now. We go for the water, 21% forgiveness for our water. With the second lowest median home income in the state.
We're actually the lowest.
The lowest.
Yeah.
So you can explain that to me. There's another explanation to give you. Median home, usually each need 1.1% of median home income. There's other variables, formulas they use it in. They want you to do so many studies, energy audits, asset management, water audits. 2 people running a whole department, 30 miles of collection, 30 miles of sewer, and running the sewer plant at the same time, letting coppers right around the corner trying to deal with this problem. That stuff that we shouldn't have to deal with. We don't have a lead copper problem. We have a good control in place, but we're down with all this stuff. Everything PFAS, it's right around the corner. I'm trying to stay ahead of that. The public has a very little.
Rick, you are doing an amazing job. I want you to know that. And my hesitancy has nothing to do with the amazing job that you are doing. I appreciate everything you do. No, dude, I get it. I get it. I know. I know.
I'm gonna call them. You're welcome.
I 100% agree with you.
I am.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna
Call
call the
the vote. Go
vote.
ahead, go for it.
I'm gonna go ahead and call the vote. And I want to thank the board and I want to thank Rick because one of the reasons that it gets so, and I'll say heated, but we're not angry. We're heated because we're super concerned about doing right by our community, all of us. So I'm going to call the vote. James did accept the friendly amendment, 10% in the first, 20% in the second, and we are going to continue to evaluate to the best of our ability. Chan did maintain his second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
No.
Motion does pass 3-1.
Can I qualify my vote real quick?
Yes.
So the reason that I voted no has nothing to do with the amazing things that our sewer department is doing. It just has to do with the, like Rick mentioned, the low income that we have. I think that more information and thought and research into why we haven't done this in the past 14 years needs to be paid attention to. And it's hard for this board and how we are now having to increase those rates by so much when our past boards have not done the work to try to find out why this has to be this way. So I want the public to know that we do want to make sure that you have a great quality of life, but because of past boards, we are stuck in this position to have to increase your rates by this much now. Thank you.
Okay, we have regular business. I know, amazing. We have our minutes.
You want to go out of non-public, out of a public meeting?
We did that.
We did.
And we passed.
Oh.
Yeah, I know, it's been a while, like a half hour, but
Okay,
we are good to
I
go.
didn't know we had.
That's okay. There is a minutes in the folder from Wednesday, May 4th. Is there a motion to approve?
Oh, we might not be able to do that. We won't change it on.
Never weren't here.
Oh, yeah, you two weren't.
We're both abstained.
Yep. Never mind, we don't have a quorum of who was here last week. We have an oath of office for the broadband committee. Yay.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Janine Hadid, did I say that right? There was a motion to approve and a second. You
Yes.
heard? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None, motion carries. There's a notice of intent to cut wood or timber. This does not require our motion. This is for map 15, lot 18 and 20. Oh, no, it's just. But on the other side, we have a notice to collect taxes for timber in the amount of $3,080.80. This was on map 15, lots 18 and 20.
I'll make a motion to accept that.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None, motion carries. And another,
There's 2 signatures
Oh.
on those.
Yep.
Oh,
thank you.
shoot.
Thank you, Karen.
there's even a flag.
Let me sign yours, Cruella.
Ouch.
I just-
Only if you're my first victim. There is another timber tax in the amount of $3,194.48, and this is map 12, lot 30.
I'll make a motion to accept that tax.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None, motion carries. We have an amendment to the engineer agreement for, this is for the
Solid.
biosolids project. This is for the upgrade with Tata, is it?
Tatum,
Tatum
Howard.
Howard.
Tata and Howard. And the difference is the original amount was 34,500. The additional scope to the project increased it by 56,000 with a total amount now of 90,500. And as I understand, that additional amount would be, would actually end up going into the bond, correct?
Correct.
Right. The entire amount actually goes into the bond, correct? Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Second.
Any additional discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? It looks like it is just me. There's just one flag. We'll sign that after. For our information, the Department of Natural and Cultural Resources, Division of Forests and Lands, is alerting us that they will be planning a timber harvest to improve wildlife habitat. To improve, it does say to improve wildlife habitat, but I feel like we're missing an A. They're going to be doing that on about 126 acres of the Pisgah State Park. They're planning on doing this in stages. They're offering some public bidding beginning this summer of 2022. This project falls in management criteria number 3 under management plan for Pisgah State Park. If there are any questions or comments, we are provided with a contact person and reference number. So if any members of our community or board have a question about that particular project, I would suggest you follow up with Carrie or myself, and we can provide you with that contact information. The trustees of trust funds will be accepting volunteer interest forms. Please submit them by next week, May 18th. They did have a recent resignation, and they will be placing that seat until March 2023, when you'll have to run for it again if you want it. The Winchester Police Department would like us to know that in partnership with the Winchester School, they will be hosting a presentation put on by Erin Lakowski with the New Hampshire Human Trafficking Collaborative Task Force. She is a DCYF Human Trafficking Program Specialist. She's worked in the social services for over 20 years and has begun to play a more active role in New Hampshire's anti-trafficking efforts and locating missing youth. She is also a liaison with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, Internet Crimes Against Children, and Homeland Security, as well as a couple of other task force. The program is going to be held on May 17th. That's next Tuesday at 5:30 in the Winchester School gym. Certainly encouraged for parents. This was put out to the parents at the Winchester School, but absolutely relevant for any resident in town who wants to be educated and more vigilant in protecting our youth. So again, that's 5:30, May 17th at the school. Oh, usually I try to put the announcements at the end. Sorry, we have more regular things. We have a request for property abatement. This is at 86 Michigan Street. There was an agreement that we would abate the interest if all of the agreed payments were made, and they have been. The request is for $1,352.05, and it has been signed by our deputy tax collector. Is there a motion to approve?
Make that motion.
I'll second. Is there any additional discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None, motion carries. There is a request for an abatement. I think this is property. Okay. It was so low, I thought it was water. But if this is a property abatement on 599 Warwick Road, it looks like there was, it was a campground, didn't collect taxes at the time of the sale. It went to lien, and there's a request for $51.68.
Make a motion to approve that.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Motion carries. And last, but certainly not least, did everyone have an opportunity to review the request from Amy and Dale with regard to the highway garage?
Yes.
So as we will all recall, we had an unfortunate incident occurring up at the garage that was no fault of ours. The insurance is going to be covering an estimated cost of about $67,317 for repair in the specific area that was struck by the UniFirst truck that ran into it. While they were there, there was some conversation about and concern about another section of the building that needs to be repaired, Bay 3. Specifically, the wall is weakened, will be weakened during the work, was potentially problematic, and they're recommending that, they go ahead and do the job while they're there. Amy and Dale are recommending the same. So
I went out there with Amy, and we should do it now and get it over with. And Amy says the money's there for it, so that
yeah,
I
it
make a
looks like
motion to approve that.
you're gonna make a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
So just for the town, what Amy is anticipating is taking the money from the town-owned building capital reserve plan. And that amount is $15,500. And so the motion is, there's a couple of options. So it's 15.5 from the bottom line and 81.25 from Charter Trust, or 15.5 from Charter Trust and 81.25 from the bottom line, because the total cost is 23. Sorry, that was hidden in there.
Let me speak on that real quick, if you don't mind.
Please.
So the 23 also includes $8,000 worth of work to the side of the building, the mortar. It's all cracked, it has nothing to do with
Bay 3.
the accident or the front of the building. It's just wear and tear, it's old. And
Settling.
It's cracking, it's settling. So they would blast out some of that mortar and replace it. So there's two additional projects, Bay 3, and then the side of the building, part of the back of the building as well for the mortar.
Is, do you know if that side of the mortar could be held off, or if they're giving us a discount for doing the project in one shot?
Yeah, because they're there, they're set up, they're ready to go. They have to do the mortar work anyway for the front of the building. So it is going to be cheaper to do it now than later.
Thank you.
It's got 1/2-inch gaps in it. It's spreading out, so it really needs to be done.
So the motion is certainly to do it, and I think there's a second. Let's just try to wrap it into, we're gonna hash it out a lot, or are we, I mean, I'm kind of leaning towards take more from the trust and less from the bottom line.
That
I was
works.
gonna agree with that.
All right, so can the motion be
Sure.
option 3, 15.5 from the trust and 8, 125 from the bottom line?
Yep.
And the
Yes,
second?
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Perfect, motion passes.
Do we know how much additional is left in that trust?
Ooh,
I don't have my sheet with me tonight.
That's okay, we don't have to know today.
I might have my sheet because I had it with our ARPA stuff. That's it. Is there anything from the board?
I would like to say, or maybe you, Lindsay, you would like to talk about the food festival last weekend.
I'd love to talk about the food festival. The Red Committee hosted the food festival this past weekend. It was the kickoff of the Winchester Farmers Market. We thought that it was a great success. There was a steady flow of people all day. There was free samples in here in the town hall. It was really fun to hear people come through and be like, ooh, yeah, it's free. I'd love to sample some local fairs. There was a nice steady flow outside. All of our vendors seemed to have a good day overall. It was super windy. The Red Committee has not met again. We are taking a couple of well-deserved weeks off because we met every week leading up to this for the last month. And we'll just hash out any kind of other details, but we were really excited to see the community able to get out for the food fest. And the other nice thing about it was, so the NHDI program, the New Hampshire Dance Institute, they run their year-long special teams program up at Winchester School. And so there were actually a number of people who came through that were looking for something to do in town because they dropped their kids off for an hour or so for special teams, and you know, where are you gonna go? So had some great conversations with people not from Winchester that have visited our local library and had really great things to say about our library. And we're excited to find something in town to do. So a great day. The Access program did well with their fundraiser. And I know that there are some pictures and videos floating around of various select board members being pied. And that was a lot of fun as well. Did I miss anything on Food Fest?
No, I think you did well.
I think I went by when I went to the dump before I went to the races. That you had a good crowd out there. Looked like they're having a good time. And I'm glad of that. And also I want to say last week that I missed, you girls did a super job on that money. Handing out the money. I watched it on the video, and you, I think you did a good job, and I want everyone to know. Somebody did a lot of nice work.
Thanks, Chan.
Thank you.
Actually, speaking of money, are you done?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So speaking of money, I did want to revisit maybe giving some ARPA funds to the WEDC. I did have a chance to look over the contract that was emailed to us. I would like to propose to the board that we give the WEDC $15,000 for advertising, minus they're not allowed to spend any of that money on soft costs.
Do you want to give an example of what you would consider a soft cost?
So a soft cost by definition is any salary, development, or anything that goes into getting there.
No, I didn't see. Did you guys give them the 10,000 for the?
No.
We didn't give them
We didn't give them
anything.
anything
Oh, you
yet.
didn't?
No, this is
No, I-
because there was some additional
Yeah.
conversation that was happening. And so this is this would be
Okay,
new.
So what about the culvert project? No.
Oh,
Oh,
we
no,
did
we
that
did.
project. Yes, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Oh.
I
Yes,
wasn't
the
thinking about
10,000
it.
For the culvert,
Yes.
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 Oh, okay.
We did
Which
that.
That's
really
taken care of.
wasn't a request from Mark, it was a recommendation.
Right. That was more of a, I
A
would call it a
joint
highway.
recommendation
Yeah,
highway.
yeah. So,
So that problem's been taken care of.
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
This
I'll
would be,
make this a motion for
Yeah, so I just want to clarify what soft costs is, but they didn't specify in the contract that I read, but by definition, soft cost is
Salaries.
salaries and any other development or paper or driving time that goes along with it. So give them the money for advertising and they're not allowed to use it on soft costs.
And that's your motion?
That is my motion.
Motion and a second. Pick one. Is there any additional discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Motion carries.
I think the last thing that I had is that the Conservation Commission will have a meeting. We have a meeting the third Thursday of every month. We are looking for new members, so please submit a volunteer interest form. And then lastly, we have been streaming from the town Facebook page, tonight. So you will be seeing a stream from there whenever possible. If I'm not able to be here, the meeting might not be streamed until we figure out another solution. Amy and I did work on something today, but we do have to order a couple more things to make sure that that's functional if I'm not here to make it happen. But the YouTube will be up soon.
You plan on going somewhere?
What?
You plan on going somewhere?
Oh, no, I mean, if I'm sick, Chan, I can't get here. I mean, I'll come if you want me to, but yeah.
You sit down there.
I'm only
Yeah.
picking.
Actually, and thinking about that, I mean, I say thank you to Natalie a lot. But personally, but publicly, I'd like to, I need to say thank you. I'm going to say thank you to you, Nat. I'm going to say thank you to me too, because, there are a lot of people who really benefit from the effort that it has been in the last 2 years to show up at every meeting and use our own data sometimes. And I've only had to do it a handful of times. Help the town see these meetings from the comfort of your own home, from the convenience of whatever time is most convenient for you. And I'd like to remind everyone that that was done on the effort of volunteers and people who don't earn a single thing for putting their time in and setting it up every week and taking it down every week. And so, I am all for constructive criticism that helps us grow and learn and do better. But if you don't have it constructive, then until you start showing up here, I'd really appreciate that we keep in mind the effort that this board makes every week to do what we're supposed to do, and the volunteers that make it happen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay. for
You're
saying that.
welcome. Public comment.
Todd Lansky. Speaking of this live chat thing or whatever, I believe that the town voted to do this. They appropriated the money and they said that it was going to be through the town website. So then there can't be a lot of everybody making comments and getting in fights and everything online. It's supposed to be informational only. I would like to know who authorized the town of Winchester Facebook to get shared to the Winchester Exchange. So now there's all kinds of comments on that. The town of Winchester Facebook was shared to the Winchester Exchange, and there's a bunch of comments. So I'm kind of curious why. Like, it's not going to be a friendly thing if we just keep letting it go to that page or to any other page. Everybody knows there's a town of Winchester Facebook page. If you want to know the information, go there, watch the video at your own convenience. I'm not arguing that. But as far as the bickering back and forth, we need to stop that. And I'm pretty sure the town voted to make sure that happened. So whoever approved to share it to the exchange probably ought to have a chat with them or whoever.
I approved it on the exchange for this, as a moderator of the exchange for this one meeting, just to ensure that everyone was aware of the platform change over to the Winchester Town Facebook page. I don't think we can stop anyone from sharing
The town
to,
of Winchester
yeah, anybody
shared
can,
it.
Exactly. So the town
you
of
make it not
Winchester
shareable-
shared today so that people were aware that the platform is now on the town of Winchester page. But anybody in the future can go to the town of Winchester page, be watching the live stream, and share that anywhere they want, to their personal page.
If it's somebody else, I don't care.
That's
I
fine.
don't think the town of Winchester should be sharing something to another page
It won't
that
be
is
something,
known
it won't be something that's
to cause
continued.
havoc.
Just trying to ensure that everyone is aware that the
And I
platform
think it
has
should be a
changed.
board decision. I don't think it should be a sole decision, because everything else was a board decision.
So our actual social media policy that we have does not give the authority, does not say whether or not the town can share it to another page. But as for the purposes of this meeting, we did decide that because there was a platform change and we want to be able to keep the public informed, that we would share it. I will also take responsibility for that because
I didn't think
I-
to shut comments off, and
Yeah,
I could have from the
so there
exchange
is actually,
side.
so we all know, there's actually no way to shut off commenting on a live stream. That was in our social media policy, but there's no actual way to do it until after it is done, after the live stream's ended. So we actually do need to revisit our social media policy to talk about that. And this was something, I wasn't involved with the board then when that social media policy was made, but there's actually no way to shut off the commenting on the town page while we're live streaming. But that is something that we'll have to take up in our next meeting because we are still working through it to try and get the town, to get this up. So it's a active conversation between everybody to make sure that we're doing the right thing.
I understand that there may not be something in writing that says X, Y, Z, you can't do that because of whatever. I've been to a lot of these meetings along with both of you two. You know the conversations that happened, the reason why we decided, the reason, the discussions that were had. So there's no point in saying that there's nothing that says this. Maybe there should be, because that's what the town voted for. So maybe the board as a whole should go back and put in that policy exactly what the discussions were to say that there's no comments.
Todd, I'm not disagreeing with you at all.
Everybody wants this town to be peaceful,
Right.
but then they throw it in the exchange.
Todd, I'm
You got
not,
one more.
I'm not disagreeing with you at all.
We're not.
But just for clarity, when somebody comments on another page, is actually not seen on the town page. So it's just whatever's in that page stays in that page. If you're commenting on the town page, we can see it. And we'll post the social media
Policy.
thank you, policy later sometime this week when I get to it. So people know what that is. So they are aware when they comment on the town page, why or why not your comment is there and why it may be removed, because I feel like that's gonna also come up as well. Right. It's all record of public comment. So we could have a work session for this if we need to.
Why do we need to have a work session though? We did agree that we were not going to have public comment on that.
So you can actually,
We actually need to have a work session anyways. We've had
Yeah.
the conversation that we have to follow up with legal and make sure that we are retaining the information for long enough. The board actually has had prior conversation advising Natalie and I to move forward and gather information, bring back to the board. So we're still working through a lot of those details. Again, every week we're doing our best to bring the public streaming, people being negative online. We can't control it. We're trying to provide this service to the people who just can't make it here, not to the ones who want to make a scene. Is there additional public comment other than the conversation?
Kelly Kalansky, and I have additional comments about that topic,
go ahead. Tony.
which are actually two questions, I guess. So I know and I don't know if this is different for live stream, because I've never done that, but on Facebook, I know if you post something on your page and you go into the settings to make it private, then people can't share it. And so I just wonder if that's an option with, when this is posted on the town website, if it can be posted as private so that it can't be shared, is one question. I don't know if somebody has.
Would you like me to answer that first?
Sure.
So because we are a government organization, we're set up as a government page, we can't be private.
Okay.
So there's no way to do that. Yeah.
Okay. I wonder about, instead of, like, is there a reason to have it live streamed as opposed to just record the meeting and then post a recording of the meeting? That would cut down on some of those issues, I think, as far as not having the option to turn off the live stream comments, that kind of thing, if you just record it and then post the recording of it.
So, I mean, can I speak? I think that's a great idea. I think that, I mean, and I feel like we should get more input from the public at this point. I feel like because we've been live streaming for so long, the people are enjoying the live stream. For us to set up a recording, which we can do, we would have to buy more equipment to do so, because you have to store it in a memory card and then go from there. Right now, it's directly hooked up to there. So we would have to buy more memory cards and then delete them. And then it goes back to what Lindsay was saying about the lawyer and what we're legally allowed to store.
I think it's definitely part of a opportunity for the work session to have that conversation on the best way.
Yeah.
You know, and this is something new that's being brought up probably around the state.
Yeah.
And so definitely can do a little more background, because somebody else has already paved some of this way. Although we are certainly, you know, one of the first smaller towns. I mean, Keene's been streaming and recording their meetings for years. So maybe reaching out to them on some of their policy, although it's a little bit different because it's a larger entity. So definitely all part of a work session as we continue to hammer out the best way to do it.
Yeah, I guess I would just end with that I would certainly encourage that, because I do think if the purpose is for community members who can't or don't want to come to meetings, for them to just be able to hear what happened at the meeting. If they have something to say, they should be here or write a letter or whatever it is they need to do. But I just think it just leaves it open for what has happened for such a long time now of just nastiness, you know, between people. And I think sometimes there's good comments. I'm not saying it's all that, but it definitely leaves it open for that. And that has been a problem. And it would be really great if there could be a way for that whole piece to just stop, for there just to not be that opportunity, but to just have the recording for people to see it and watch it when they can. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kelly.
Anything else from department heads? You stay right there, Mark.
You had a full hour tonight.
Nothing, Carrie?
I have nothing.
Oh, public comment. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Jordan Hubbard again. I got a note from the Board of Select Board. I'm assuming you all have seen it. I was kind of hoping for some definitions of do the concerns that stopped the project and the findings on finishing the shoulder work. Well, can I have a definition on that?
Sure. And we did talk about it during public session last week, so I'm sorry that you didn't have a chance to listen. We went out, we reviewed where the water is running and confirmed that because the concern came up before the project was finished, which is there's some additional shoulder work with some large ledge, boulder, irrigation kind of planned to kind of direct water. That wasn't done yet because the concern was raised and then the project stopped. So the conversation was to try to finish what the project was originally supposed to be, to first make sure that what was planned to help with water will or won't work before we try something else, because we never tried the first thing.
Okay.
So that's,
go ahead.
so that's all that's the first step. And then if, you know, we're coming into summer, so we'll have plenty of weather that we can monitor it. And if that is still creating a problem after the project was actually finished, clearly we're going to have to revisit.
Okay. And where would you be directing the water?
I mean, what's going to happen is they're going to build out that ledge, or they're going to address that ledge right where the water is already pooling. And And so the natural place where that water used to go is through that gully because it leads right back out into the lake. So,
No, the natural place the water used to go was not through that gully because the road was changed 11 inches the opposite way.
but we're not gonna repave the road right now until we can show that that's not gonna, that what the project was originally isn't going to work.
I'm not asking you to repave the road. I'm simply stating that when I bought my house, I did not have any of that water. And now I get all of that water and all the water from the town beach parking. Why do I have to accept all this water that I did not have when I purchased my house? I did not purchase my house 20 years ago. I purchased my house 4 years ago.
Right, but we don't know that you're gonna continue to get all that water because we haven't finished the project.
Okay, so back to my beginning statement, where's this water going? You have indicated that I'm going to have to accept this water.
I don't believe that she actually said that. So
That is exactly what she said.
I think that's what you said. I don't think she said that verbatim, but, so I was out there as well. So where you built your own natural berm there?
Yes,
okay?
because my land started to wash away.
Right. So, and our highway department wasn't able to finish their project. So our solution for this is to let the highway department finish their project. We will assess it after that, and then we'll move forward if water is still infiltrating your land. So we are going to finish the project and then assess after.
Okay, and what is the completion date of this project?
Dale said that he would be able to turn it around within a couple of days once he get the all clear to go ahead. So hopefully, within the next week or two, not knowing his schedule and he's not here, so I won't commit to him, I can have Carrie confirm with Dale and provide you an update when that project's gonna be worked on.
Okay.
Thank you.
There's nothing else. The board does have a non-public need. Is there a motion to enter into non-public?
I'll make that motion.
And a second, we are A,
A and E,
E, yeah.
I'll second.
and, I'm sorry, C,
I was
A,
gonna-
C, and E.
Thank you. There was a motion and a second. Roll call vote. Natalie?
Aye.
Herb?
Aye.
James? Lindsay, aye. We are now in non-public. We will return briefly just to debrief from non-public. Thank you. You know, I looked at the clock and I said,